Just a word of warning, everybody, this episode is going to get nerdy. During the making of Mandromeda, I had a couple of people on the set inquire about some of the gear I was using, both the audio and the video gear, to make the film, and I thought I'd make a video about it just more or less for those people, other filmmakers who I know, people who are just kind of getting into filmmaking, who are trying to get back into filmmaking, just as a way of letting them know what worked for me, what I was able to do with relatively low budget to shoot the movie. The first thing, obviously, is the camera. This is the Sony FX30. It's an APS-C size sensor, which is like a super 35 millimeter. It's a slightly smaller brother to the one that they shot the Creator on. That would be the FX3. I've shot stuff on Canon, Panasonic, Blackmagic, and now Sony. I think Sony is the brand I have decided to land on, and it's not really about brand, it's really about the form factor, it's about the comfort in your hand, and it's about how much you love the color and what the camera is able to do. And I find this to be an incredibly versatile little filmmaking machine. I have two of them, one of them's filming me right now. So I have the twins, and paired with the right lens, I think this is really capable of doing some amazing stuff. It is incredibly lightweight, and it is incredibly versatile. It has Wi-Fi you can control with your phone remotely. It's just an incredible piece of equipment. I do think I'm part of the Sony family now. Finally, I really love their color science. I love their low light capability. Our lenses were the Sirui Sniper lenses. These are the autofocus versions of their Nightwalker series. They're incredibly good with low light. Their autofocus is really incredible. When we were filming in the car with the two cameras, there was no way I was going to be able to run focus on both of those cameras, and I didn't want to try and do a remote thing. So I actually went with autofocus. These are actual cine lenses that are autofocus. The autofocus on the camera itself is incredible. You can program it for to look for eyes. You can program it for which eye you want it to look for. And that really enabled me to have one less worry while driving in a car and directing two actors having a conversation. Having the two cameras was really critical because I wanted those scenes to play out kind of like stage plays. I didn't want to be cutting back and forth. I didn't want to do one coverage and do the other coverage. I wanted the continuity to match perfectly. I wanted the actors to be able to speak over each other, interrupt each other if they wanted to. I wanted to just have that organic feel. So I made a decision early on to shoot this with two cameras simultaneously. And I think that's going to follow through to a lot of my other filmmaking in the future. Sometimes in editing, you end up working around continuity rather than the performance. You get into kind of these binds, and sometimes you're not always taking the best take of a performance just because someone's holding something in the wrong hand, what have you, and you've got to make that match. And I feel like that's a bit of a compromise that doesn't need to be made. So I do think I'm going to be filming a lot of stuff in the next couple films with two cameras at the same time. Moving on to this little piece of equipment. This is made by Ulanzi. Just about every other company makes these suction mount guys right now. They have a little friction arm, magic arm thing that connects to the camera. I'll show you that in a second. But then this side sticks to the windshield or side of your car or hood of your car, basically with just basic suction, right, like that. And then you pump it up and you suck all the air out of that and you create a vacuum that holds it to the camera. I found these worked really well. All my cameras have a little cage on them that you get, and the arm hooks onto that cage just like so. Now you can mount that to the window, and there you go. We had two of these running all the time. I never had a camera fall out or anything like that. It was great. I didn't want to have cameras on the outside of the windows. Number one, for safety and security and my own peace of mind, but also so as to not draw too much attention while we were driving around at night in LA. So this solution really worked best, and the wider angle lenses worked really well. As far as audio, I ran a couple things. This is the Sennheiser MKE 600 shotgun mic. I would have this in the back seat mounted in somewhere where you could not see it, and it was my main source of audio for the people in the rear. On the front camera, I would mount this guy, which is the MK 400, and it plugs right into the audio jack here. So you've got much better sound than just the raw audio coming into the camera. Than the scratch audio, I should say. And so even with the thing, this weighs almost nothing and was able to be positioned just like that. The Sennheiser mic ran into this guy. This is the Zoom F3 recorder. This records in 32-bit float, which is the equivalent, I understand, of shooting in RAW in video or stills. which means you have a lot more leeway and it's much harder to screw it up or to peek it out, which for me is good because I'm not an audio guy, so I needed all the help I could get. Backing up those mics on the Sennheisers were the Rode Wireless Pros. These are kind of like the one I'm wearing here. They clip on, or they also have these magnet guys that can attach separately, and you put this on the inside of your shirt and that on the outside of your shirt, and it holds on. They transmit remotely. We would have this mic on attached to the other kind of camera and going into that camera, but these also record internally at 32-bit float again. So they were great because you would have to just turn them on and they'd be recording. So every time we ran the camera and did a take, there was a lot of things to turn on. And that was a challenge, I will say, in a small car. You have to turn on both cameras. You have to turn on this recorder. You have to turn on each of these separately on each actor, both cameras again. So what I tried to do is once I had everything running, I left it running. I have, decent megabyte memory cards. These are 128 gigabytes each here, and there's 2 of them in each camera, so I could really run the cameras for like 45 minutes or an hour. They don't overheat. They're self-cooling. They have little air vents right here. That's why they're a little thicker. And we were able to just drive around. Once we got everything started, we'd sync up and just drive around the blocks and around the blocks and around the blocks, just doing all these different takes. We just run the scene, back it up, run it again, run it again, run it again. The hope is that at least in some of these takes, we were able to just do an entire take from front to back, and I can just use that. I can cut it back and forth, almost like you would do an interview if you're interviewing 2 people with 2 different cameras. And again, this way they could speak organically. They could not interrupt each other if they needed to, step on each other's lines, and you just have perfect continuity. The main challenges I found were really the road. LA needs better roads. We would be doing really well, and every once in a while we would just hit a bit where it's like bum 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 bum, and it would be vibrating and the cameras would be shaking and stuff. So barring smoother roads, I think everything would have been really, really easy. I'm really happy with the setup I created. I'm happy with all the gear. I think I'm going to keep using this over and over and over again on the next couple films I'll be doing, and I hope it works just as well as it did this one. So there you go. Everybody, thanks very much. We're going to be getting into the editing stuff of the film soon, and I think the next episode will be from the editing booth. So there we go. Thanks.